Okay, so in this week's portion, we're going to look at some of the midrashim on the portion, and we'll start with the beginning of the portion where it says the first commandment that's in the portion is to establish a ner tamid, an eternal light. We just put an eternal light into our yeshiva, a very powerful idea. Excuse me, that there's always a light burning while we're studying Torah. Of course, the greatest light is the light of the neshama. It says, now you shall command the children of Israel, and they shall take for yourself a shemen zayit zach, a pure olive oil, crushed for illumination, to establish a ner tamid, an eternal light. Rashi says you're supposed to light this light until the flame goes up on its own. Until the flame goes up on its own. What does it mean? What type of oil are you supposed to use? It says shemen zayis zach, pure olive oil. So what does that mean? So the Gemara in Brachos tells us that if a person sees olive oil in a dream, he can expect to get the illumination of Torah. That this is a symbol of Torah. It says, take for yourself pure olive oil. And the pure here, according to the Talmud, is demonstrating Torah. Rav Stern says that the olive oil brings the benefit of gaining you Torah, like it states in Harios, that if you have olive oil, it returns your learning of 70 years. So this is another reason to put olive oil on your dinner plate. And it says, so this is another practice that people are supposed to do, that olive oil demonstrates as symbolic of Torah. So another law of what do we do with pure olive oil? So it says in the Gemara Menachos that all of the Menachos, these are the grain offerings that were brought in the temple, that they're described in Parshas Vayikra and Tzav, really by law, they require pure olive oil. Just like the menorah, which was not meant for consumption, requires pure olive oil, the grain offerings, which were meant to be eaten by the Kohen, for sure. So you might have thought that therefore the grain offering should also have pure olive oil. So we say no. It's only the menorah that gets the pure olive oil, because only by the menorah does it say shemen zayis zach, lamaor, the pure olive oil for the lamp, but not the menachos. The third idea comes from the Gemara in Shabbos. So it says to set up and to establish an eternal light. So Tani Rami Bar Chama, Basilos Ushmenim, Sha'amru Chachamim, Ein Madlikim Mehem B'Shabbos, Ein Madlikim Mehem B'Mikdash, Mishum Shenemar Lahalos Ner Tamid. Hu Tani Lav Ulamra, Kedei Shetei Shalevas Olema E'alav, V'lo Shetei Ole Al Yedei Davar Acher. So Rami Bar Chama taught the wicks and the oils that the sages said you're not allowed to light with them on Shabbos, you also will not be allowed to light with them in the temple. Why couldn't you light with them on Shabbos? Because there's a concern either that you might come to adjust it, or the concern is that they might give off a bad odor or bad light. So those flames or wicks that you couldn't use for Shabbos, you couldn't use in the temple. Because it says about the temple that you have to establish a light that's eternal. Rashi says, what does it mean eternal? It doesn't mean eternal, it means tamid at all times, meaning to say that the light needs to last through the night, from night till morning. You have to put the same measure that even on the long winter months, it would last, and keep that measure the whole year, even in the summer. And he explained so that the light goes up on its own and not through something else. So Rabbi Akiva Eger says, Rabbi Akiva Eger asks on the Gemara, why does it say oils in the temple? There's only one oil. It's the pure olive oil. It says, okay. The next idea is what is the light that's supposed to last at all time? The Midrash says this is the Ner Ma'aravi Doeg Tamid, the western lamp, the most western lamp of all. There's a dispute what that is, but that's the one that's supposed to be lit at all times. So in the Sifri, it says that this western lamp, some say, actually had to burn all day too. So that's what some say. Okay. So what does it mean that you light this candle? Are you supposed to light it on Shabbos? That's another question that the commentaries ask. Should you light this candle also on Shabbos? The menorah, should you light on Shabbos? So the Sifra says, yes, you're supposed to light it even on Shabbos. So, and indeed, the Rambam rules like that in chapter 2 from Tamidin, Halacha Yud. He rules that you're supposed to light the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash even on Shabbos. Now, this is difficult because really you could light it before Shabbos, and you could light it just before Shabbos starts, and you can light it right after Shabbos. So why does the lighting of the menorah override Shabbos? Okay, so it makes sense if you would say that you have to light it in the morning too, but according to the approach that of Rashi, that you only light it in the afternoon, why don't you light it just before Shabbos and just after Shabbos? So the Mikdash David explains that you can't light the menorah late on Saturday night because you need to do it. You can't wait till the middle of the night. You have to light the first second of the night. And so therefore you need to light a little bit while it's still day. But before Shabbos, why couldn't you light it? So he leaves this question unresolved. So I was thinking like this, that it's to make the point that Shabbos is about light. That Shabbos is essentially about light. The light of Shabbos is the light. Shabbos is the eternal light. Shabbos is the ultimate light. Shabbos is the ultimate light. Okay. So now, let's go on to the garments of the Kohen. So it says in chapter 28, verse 1, it says in chapter 28, verse 1, hold on. ואתה הקריב אליך על אהרון אחיך ואת פניו יטול מתוך בני ישראל לך אנוכי, Aaron, Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, V'itamar, bnei Aaron. Now you should bring close Aaron, your brother, and his children from amongst the children of Israel to serve me, Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, Elazar, V'itamar, the sons of Aaron. And there is a commandment that Moshe commanded to make garments for Aaron, your brother, for honor and for glory. So, what is this idea of honor and for glory? So the Gemara in Zvachim tells us as follows. What does it mean for honor and for glory? Just want to say one thing, that I skipped a beautiful midrash, the Midrash Agadol cited by Rav Sternbach. So we have in our yeshiva, we have a beautiful menorah and a ner tamid. So we have the light coming out of our Aron Kodesh at all times. Listen to the words of this Midrash Agadol, because it's about the light. Because it says you should set up your light from morning till evening, from evening till morning, before God, an eternal law for all your generations. So this is what the Midrash Agadol writes. We just dedicated our Ner Tamid, so I want everybody to hear this. Even though we no longer have the Beit HaMikdash, we no longer have the Holy Temple because of our great sins, we do have synagogues and Batei Midrashos, yeshivas, We do have those. And we learned in the Brisa, whoever is accustomed to light the lights in the yeshivas, in the Batei Midrashos, or in the synagogues, will merit for royalty. Because it says, V'ner holid et Kish, v'Kish holid et Shaul. That Shaul comes from Ner. Ner is a person's name, but here it means the flame. So, and it says, and there was a man from Benjamin, and his name was Kish ben Aviel, and Aviel was his name. So why is he called Ner? He was called Ner Shaya Madlik Nehirot B'Batei Knesset B'Batei Midrash. That Saul's grandfather was the one whose job it was to light the candles in the yeshivas, in the synagogues, in the Beis Medrash, and so therefore he merited that Shaul came from him. So whoever merits to light the flames, today we have LED. Whoever is mishtatef in that project of lighting the LEDs of our menorah, of our Aron Kodesh, will merit to have the kingships descending from him, just like Saul. Now we say that these clothes will be for honor and for glory. So here we quote the Gemara in Zvachim 18b. Gemara in Zvachim tells us about these garments. Tana Rabbanan, Hayu Merushalin. That means if the garments were dragging on the ground, or misulakin, or they're too high off the ground, if the garments are too high or too low, and he did his service, Vavad Avodaso, and he still did his service, it's Kshera. The service is going to be kosher. But let's say he was wearing 2 pairs of pants, 2 belts, or if he's missing one of the garments, or if he's wearing an extra garment, or if he had a bandage under one of his garments, or if the garments were dirty, or if the garments were torn, and he did his service, then it's disqualified, because then it's not considered a garment worthy to serve the kavod ul tifaris. Meaning to say, the Kohen has this sacred responsibility, and he has to represent the Jewish people. So if he's wearing a torn garment, a dirty garment, or even one extra garment, the only thing he's allowed to wear extra is tefillin. Tefillin are not called a garment, they're called an ornament. What about contact lenses or glasses or dentures? Can the Kohen wear those? Are those considered like he's wearing an extra garment? So that question we'd have to leave unresolved. We'll wait for the time of the Beis Hamikdash. They say about the Chafetz Chaim that he was afraid to have he was very worried about whether or not he'd be able to serve in the Beis Hamikdash if he had certain like medical things done to him, because he thought he maybe have a shot at being the Kohen Gadol. So he needed to make sure that he wouldn't get like, I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong story, but the way I heard it was he was worried about getting an extra garment on him because that might interfere with his ability to serve. I don't take that literally, but that's one of the things I heard through the grapevine. Also heard that he used to keep in shape so that he could possibly be the Kohen Gadol one day. He could possibly be ready to serve. Anyway, this is what I wanted to share today. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address.